freedoms are being taken. It is time for history to repeat itself and stand. Black Robe Patriots. Your host, Dr. Cindy Flowers and Pastor Ladina Boo.
Good morning. I am not Ladina Boo, but we do have Cindy Flowers here. I am Matt. I'm the station manager here, and it's been a while since I've been online. I haven't been on the air in a while. We're glad to have Cindy here with us. I'll have to turn some volumes up after Ladina gets in here because I know I kind of forgot something. But good morning. Talking about the 7th Amendment today. Not the 6th.
Yes, we are.
Not the 5th. The 7th. So I'm really excited about this. My Ladina sense is tinkling, though. Do we have Ladina back here somewhere?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Hey!
That is an authentic powdered wig. That powder is not made by Johnson & Johnson. So, all right. Without any further ado, thank you so much for everybody that has joined in thus far throughout the weeks and years that you've been tuning in. I'm really glad to be a part of this. And, these beautiful women are amazing. So as I get up, Ladina is going to take my spot and you'll hear some volume adjustment. But yeah, hey, I love you guys. And maybe I'll be back on here someday soon. And we'll just have a little talk, right?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
So here she is, Ladina and Cindy Flowers. Let me.
Come back when we're doing our prepper stuff.
Well, your prepper stuff. Here, let's do this.
We're gonna start
Bam.
doing prepper stuff.
Gotta love prepper stuff. All right.
That's the wrong spelling of her name, just so you know.
Is it still Sydney? I thought I fixed that.
Well, you did at one point.
I did. So while you're standing behind me, I'm going to go ahead and do this. You guys are going to love this because I can do it live right here as we're speaking. Sydney Flowers. It's not Sydney Flowers. Although we love you anyways. If your name is Sydney. Because it's spelled different. Cyndi, correct?
Correct.
CYNDI,
All right.
yes.
There you go. Just like that. Bam. All right. So without any further ado, here is Ladina Boo. That rhymed. Love you guys. Bye.
We love Matt around here, don't we?
I'm a goofball.
Hi, Cindy. How you doing?
Hello, good morning. I'm actually surprised at how well I'm doing. I haven't been to bed yet because I've been trying to catch up on homework and moving. So I look down and
Is that too loud?
No, that's not too loud. You
I
were
love you
whispering in my ear. Love you, Matt. Thank you so very much. You always help fix all of our boo-boos.
That's what I do.
He is the king of fixing our boo-boos. Anyway, I'm sure he was glad I finally got here. Traffic was not cooperating this morning because people seem to be afraid to pass houses on the highway. I was like, come on, I got to be somewhere past that thing. No, they didn't want to do it. So anyway, Dr. Cindy, like she said, she's moving and stuff, and she's still going to school. She didn't have enough schooling to get her doctorate, so she decided to go back and take some more. And you're studying apologetics. Is that what you're studying this time?
yes, apologetic and theology. Well, it kind of goes hand in hand, and I just thought it would be a good asset. But I didn't think that moving was going to be in my agenda for other plan actually. So yeah, so between that, so I'm working on my paper and I'm finishing it up, and I just happened to look at the clock. I'm like, oh yeah, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I still had to get my paper in. So I was like, okay, let's do it. So then it said you have 2 hours left before your alarm, and I'm like, what's the point? So I'm laying there. I'm like, I'm so tired. And it's nothing. So I'm like, might as well get up, get myself cleaned up, and let's see what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah, I know that. I ended up with a new roommate somehow, so but that's okay. He's helpful. I, I inherited a new grandson, so uh, anyway, it's been an
Yes.
interesting weekend all the way around. But Cindy and I today are going to try to tackle the Seventh Amendment of the Constitution. And it
Yes.
says, in suits of common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of jury trial shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law. Now, we're getting a lot of people that are sitting in jail these days that, they've not had a trial, they've not had, you know, any kind of formal hearing, let alone a jury trial. Yeah. Oh, did we just go back to
Yeah.
talking J6ers?
Yeah. We're going. We have to because look at how many of their constitutional rights are being violated. Owen Schroyer from Infowars. He's got 60 days. He wasn't even in anything, and he was telling people, "Go home, don't go up there,
Mhm.
go back." And he was giving a speech way away from everything, and they gave him 60 days in prison for his speech. For his speech,
Yeah,
just speaking.
our rights of free speech have been destroyed lately. You're not allowed to say anything somebody classified as hate speech. Um, you know, there we get into the radical transgenders and things like that, or, maybe it's the Black Lives Matter people or Antifa. They're against everybody. You know, and so
Yeah,
our
and
rights are being destroyed. And if we can't get a court hearing and a jury trial because they've got us locked up in some dungeon somewhere, you know, how are we supposed to take that as citizens of this country?
exactly. They've got they've weaponized all of our amendments. I mean, our rights, much like this our judicial system and no jury. The Seventh Amendment was set up for us. So when you're in court, you're allowed to have a jury for the citizen, and they didn't give them anything.
No.
Ridiculous, ridiculous uh, sentences. No way to be able to prove themselves, bring in a jury, bring in all the evidence and everything. They have it set. The only thing that I'm going to go with that is that it's being covered up for what it
Mhm.
truly is. That's why.
Right. They've never released all of the evidence. And so part of those J6ers who have been sentenced, they've been sentenced without their defense attorney having the benefit of all the videos. Because there's a couple of them that have been sentenced. And if you go and watch, if you go to Epic Times TV and things like that, you can see where they're going through every one of the videotapes. And one guy that's sentenced, he wasn't even in the area of what was going on J6. He was over on the side talking on the phone, but his defense attorneys never got that evidence.
Exactly. Um Enrique Tarrio was like the co-founder of the Proud Boys, and
Mhm.
he he you're right. He was not even in Washington. I
But he's in
I was
trouble anyway, right?
yeah. Sorry if I was interrupting you because there was no sound coming out of you, and I see you. All of a sudden you started. I'm seeing you moving your lips, and so I'm like, oh, she's still talking.
No, I'm not still talking. I'm trying to tie my little tie here so that I don't look completely out of place. Uh, so,
Yeah,
but anyway,
in Ontario, um, he was even in DC on the 6th. He he took down at one time. He tore down. He took it down a BLM flag. Okay, that's it. That's what they got him on. But the picture is he was a boy, and they have the problem labeled as white supremacists, which they're not, because Enrique Tarrio is not white, and he was like the one of the leaders of it, co-leaders of it, and there was office to divert in that, and um, the boys were created to protect people at like Trump rallies and prayer rallies from Antifa or
mhm,
Clantifa, as I call them. But that's how they became, you know, to come about because you know how Antifa was when Trump first started having his rallies. They were attacking people, and I mean,
mhm.
throwing stuff. And you know, so he got 22 years for taking down a flag.
They don't even give you that kind of sentence for destroying the American flag. It used to be nobody would even think of stomping on the American flag or burning it. But anymore, it
Mm-hmm.
seems like it doesn't matter with regard to our nation's flag, but touch Black Lives Matter flag or a the new Pride flag. Um, you know, our own president had that new Pride flag hanging in a prominent position on the White House over and above our American flag. What is that saying about our nation when we allow this kind of stuff to go on?
Exactly. That's people a lot to go. So this mess has been able to grow. You know,
Mm-hmm. You'd think
and
that they would
uh,
figure out that, you're going to have to prosecute part of these people, the bad ones, the ones that are going in and trashing stores and getting away with it, and the police won't even show up. The police won't prosecute. You're giving them ammunition to do it again. So, we've got to start enforcing our laws, and along with enforcing our
yeah,
laws, we've got to find out what the basis is for those laws in our Constitution and follow it. We're not seeing our Constitution followed in any way, shape, or form right now.
uh, oh, we're frozen.
No, you're not frozen. Go ahead.
Okay, now you are. There you are.
Okay, no, I'm here. Go ahead and say what you want to
Okay,
say there, dear lady.
I didn't get what you just finished saying, so I could say that because if I
I was
my
talking about, yeah, I was talking about the fact that right now our Constitution is not being followed on way too many fronts. And we've got to be able to get our Constitution back so that we can actually move ahead in this country. But, we're seeing our nation's capital on a one side of the fence. They're forgetting about everybody on this side of the fence. They're only going for this
Yeah,
one side of the fence.
exactly. That's funny too. I mean, like, not funny, ha ha. The White House is the people's house. It's the people's house. The White House, for this long, remember, always been to every day, except I guess maybe on certain holidays and stuff that they have it closed. The tours are closed, but it's always been open. Only when Obama was president and now with Biden, they stopped. They locked the people in their home. The people have every right to go through there. We live upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't go. You don't go upstairs. You just go. Main you see the green room in this room, but you have the opportunity inside the house. They got everything blocked off. So when that it's nothing but going on. They take it's becoming like a not socialist, but their economy is starting to in, and you can see it, especially after what you told me about the law that passed California.
Yeah, that's insane. Because she's going back to my other show, Trials and Triumphs. And on that show, I've been doing a series with regard to this transgender phenomenon going on in our country. And uh, there's absolutely no reason for it. And California just passed a horrible bill back there that said something about, you have to, people are going to be flocking to California if they want their child to be transitioned. And that's a very bad situation to be going through. Anyway, your kids do not have the ability to decide, if they want to be sterilized by the time they're 12, but sometimes younger. But, they passed a law there that if you want to get a divorce, you have got to sign that you will confirm your child's gender identity. And if they say they want to transfer to the opposite sex, you have to sign a piece of paper saying you'll do it. Since when did they get control of our children that way?
Yeah, exactly. And see, I find it hypocrisy because they're taking small kids, right? And they're saying make a choice, and but then if you go on the other side and you talk about abortion, and they will use this, and they'll go, it's a shame that if a young child who's only 10 or 11 or 12 who ends up getting pregnant, they're just children. You can't go through something like that. But then go to the other, and they're like, they're 12 years old. They know what they want. They know if they want to be a boy or a girl. It's like, what? No, they're either children or they're not. Saying you see how they use it will change up the narrative for whatever. If parents try to take, depending on what kind of judge you get, you're not going to get a fair trial to save your children. I think that's why a lot of people are running, running, ground running from California. Children, they,
Well, they
I've never
passed,
seen anything like.
yeah, they've passed some really strange rules and laws out there anyway, because if you're out in California and you're a God fearing Christian, most adoption agencies will not let you adopt a child because you do not follow the transgender hysteria. And, they're having to take that to court. Why would we have to take things to court to help a child and protect a child? And what kind of a fair jury are
I,
you going to find in California? I think the
I
entire state's pretty much gone insane.
it is, and there's a full on attack on the children of attack with anyone. And I'll say this right now: you're not a domestic terrorist if you love your country. You know, it's
Right.
okay to say, I'm proud to be an American. You're not racist. You're not a bigot. You're not, oh, any kind of terrorist or supremacist. You just love your country and you're proud of it. If you go to other countries, they are proud of where they are and who they are. And they can say it. But for some reason, if you say, proud to be an American, I don't like my government, but I love my country. Oh, you are a racist. Oh, you are this, you are that. And it's like, let me tell you, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying that you are proud from where you come from. Not at all.
Right.
And don't let them try to make you think that there is. It's,
Yeah, you're totally right in that respect. It seems like if you stand for our nation and you stand for our Constitution and you approach your life in that respect, um, we're getting shut down everywhere. You know, we're just not
yeah.
allowed to talk, I think.
Yeah, that's what they, I just read about Oregon and applauding it. And I said, oh, see what you're doing? See what you're doing? People need to wake up. Oregon, the governor, mayor, whatever, he has decided, oh, there's not going to be any math or English or anything like that for the was it the illegals or the children or whatever, and so and they were cheering that, and I said, so you're going to dumb them down. You're not going to teach them to read and write and do math and no science or anything. You're just going to keep them illiterate.
Yeah, you're
So
turning our
why?
public schools into a babysitting facility, you know, just so somebody
Yeah,
doesn't have to pay for a
yeah,
babysitter.
yeah,
Well,
yeah. And
in
they
Oregon,
are.
they legalized all drugs. All drugs are legal in Oregon. But then the mayor of Portland comes out and says, "No, we're not going to have any drugs in the city. You let the people take over the entire city before. Back around J6ers and all that stuff. You let them take over the city. You should let them shut down your government there. And you have all these drug addicts walking around and they're getting free drugs everywhere up there. And so now you're going to say, no, you can't have drugs in this city? We need to make up our mind. We need to start following our laws that are on the books already. We've ignored, probably 90% of our laws these days.
Exactly. They use it for when they want to use it. They'll go to this for this, and then they'll go. I mean, the the courthouse. Um, you remember Trey Gowdy? Trey
Mm-hmm.
Gowdy. Um, he left being English because he was a prosecutor, a very, very good one. He's never he lost a case. It said that he were able were able to have a jury and deal and the facts and fight, back and forth to prove he loved that the how that works. But he said in Congress when you would have to go back, he said there wasn't any fairness in there. There was so much garbage where and the constant I don't recall. I don't recall. I don't recall. And that's what's almost like they're told to say. No there's no fairness anymore. The scales, the one, the lady with the blindfold and the scales holding scales to be balanced. Something has happened. This are unbalanced, and um, nobody. When you go to court, it really depends on where and what kind of judge that you have, because they won't give you anything fair, and they'll give you insane charges. Joe Biggs, 17 years. 17 years for what? He shook a fence. He shook a fence, but he didn't do anything else. And why can we say that? Because we saw him.
Yeah.
And no jury.
No jury. And, we have quite a few of them that are detained that have never even been in front of a judge. They're just locked up in some little closet and with not even the amenities that the murderers have in our prison system, because they're in a room and they've got a mattress on the floor and they've got a bucket, and they're not getting all the rights of every other person in our penal facilities. A mass murderer gets more rights than the J6ers that are locked up right now that have not been to trial. They've not had, how long has Biden been in office? 2 years? 3 years now. We're working on our third year. And,
Yes.
these people are still sitting there. Why? There's not that big of a backup in court that you cannot charge these people and grant them bail or whatever the case may be. But, you're taking away their rights in every respect.
Exactly. They've been sitting there and they hadn't even been seen yet. They should not have been sitting in jail. So they had a crate and they should home.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they're being mistreated, the fact that when they came in to inspect the jail, they went and cleaned it all up and everything in the area where there was they could see there was so much mold and just disgusting. They said it's disgusting in there where they put them. And it's like, you would think that they killed people. Nobody killed anybody. And they tried to out. I wish they had a jury, because I would love for the jury to hear. If I was the attorney, I would say, first of all, on January 5th, why did they tell the DC cops to stand down? Why on January 5th? Nothing was hanging on. And then on January 6th, they put the order in for the cops to stand down and the other police officers. So they allowed that, and Nancy Pelosi refused. Trump put in 1,000 National Guard because he knew there was going to be big crowds, just to keep the crowd level down and keep it peaceful. And it was, why would you even ask the police to stand down with that people? Why would you? People were doing stuff. Why did the cops just stand there? And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, it was almost like 3, 2, 1, and go. That's what that makes no sense whatsoever. Why? And then last one, why was Nancy Pelosi's daughter already equipped with a camera and everything to catch it on film? How did anybody know there was going to be something to catch?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Well,
those questions will not be answered. They
yeah,
should have had a trial. They should have been allowed to have a trial.
yeah, to have them locked up for this long period without any kind of trial or representation, there wasn't an arraignment or anything. They're locked up until the federal court system decides that they can hear the case. But they can't hear the case because nobody's presented it to them, in my opinion. I think, if somebody had presented it, they surely would have had a trial by now. And the juries could decide because right now you can look at a lot of the evidence. Like I say, Epic TV and a bunch of the other ones, Daily Caller, have videos. They've got the videos that you did not see on the news. And, like I say, a lot of those who've already been convicted haven't even seen them. Their defense attorneys haven't seen them. And so there's going to be a lot of appeals coming up on all of this, too. But if we had followed the Constitution in the first place and not started this stupidity of just locking people up for, a peaceful protest, okay? They wanted a peaceful protest. I can tell you how many times I watched the cops incite the violence that particular day. It wasn't necessarily the people there, but, to have them locked up for, we're in our third year now, without any trial, without any right to defend themselves and, get themselves out and go back to work and be a productive member of society, that's not happening.
No, it's not. It's not. You wonder why. I was having a kind of conversation with another brother in Christ, and we were talking about, was everybody like, everybody's get Hunter, but it's not, um, it's not really if they fair, you know, and if somebody was, not doing anything, but then, there's a bully, and there's the bully punishing the other another part, and they're all these, and then they're the people are going to get upset. They're going to get mad and going, "This, you're not treating the situation fairly," and that's what they
Mm-hmm.
haven't been. We of course we put God in the mix, and now Hunter is being indicted for law. His the gun,
Yeah,
his
his gun charges.
yeah, and now did you see? This will be interesting to see what happens with these two boys. Did you see the live video of how they drove, those two kids, teenagers, drove the car and hit that bicyclist?
Yeah, ran
They
him over.
filmed it. Ran him right over, and he flew, and he just, I wonder, they caught him. They caught the one guy, not the guy. They're looking for the other guy who is it. And apparently they did two people. They 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 they, they were in other that hired police officer. They killed him, and I'm thinking, I wonder how long they're going to for um for I mean just purposely, just for the fun of it, killed a man,
Yeah.
just ran him over.
We have too many of our young people who think that's appropriate action to kill somebody. You know, we have got to get back to some normalcy and some sanity in our country because right now, whenever I look around, it's like the inmates are running the asylum, and all of us that sit back and want to follow the rules and follow our Constitution and make sure our rights are protected, we're called crazy. Now they're just
We
doing what
are.
they do. Well, you know, we're crazy, and as Christians, we're domestic terrorists. You know, so
Yeah. Or
you know, even the
uh,
Christians will badmouth people like Cindy and I because they'll call us Christian nationalists. And you know,
yeah, where they
there's
came up
nothing
with that
wrong.
one too.
You know, I don't know who came up with that one, but you know, there is nothing wrong with following the outline and the constitution of our nation. And you know, let's try to get rid of all this administrative stuff, you know, where um, we have the IRS armed, and you know, we've got all these other things going on, and you know, it's like administrative government things like the Department of Education or the IRS or uh, tobacco, alcohol, and firearms. You know, they've all got all these rules and all these regulations that you and I probably don't know. And most of them are armed and can come against us. This is not the way our government's supposed to work. And that's one of the things Cindy and I want to get across to everybody. This is not the way our
Yes,
government is designed to work.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. That's why they're not going to teach it to you. Apparently, in public schools, you're not going to learn this. And we just felt because we care about you enough, since you're not going to public schools, we'll teach you. And yet, Constitution Day.
Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people didn't even know that Constitution Day was a thing, you know, and
Yeah,
that's very sad to me. But we're running out of time again. But anyway, I wanted to let you all know that Cindy and I are both back on Wednesday. Cindy has High Octane at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, and I have Trials and Triumphs at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. And so we'd love for
yeah.
you to tune in and join us then. Um, we have Joe Inman, 8 o'clock on Wednesday mornings. He and his wife Stada have a cup of sunrise. And then we have Lynn Morris and Don Blackard, or a guest co host, for changing times at 9 o'clock a.m. on Wednesday, Central Standard Time. And then, other than that, you can find us on Radio Free America 2 or 3 times a week. Every show it will be rebroadcast on Radio Free America 3 times a week. And then Cindy's got a
Yes.
podcast, also a counseling podcast, and that is the Alabaster Box. And she works hard on these. You need to go to Radio Free America and listen to her podcast. If you, it is an internet radio station. You can get it on the Get Me Radio app, or what's the other one? MyTuner. Is that the second one?
Tuner.
Yeah.
I've got
But
the times for that. You can catch this show. You can catch this show. I got if read it if we have time for it. If we don't, we can catch it.
no, go ahead and do it. They left us to our own devices. We can run longer.
I found when I went all over for it, it was right actually in my face. I got too much stuff here. I got too much stuff here. But, let's see. Okay, on the RFA schedule, that's Radio Free America. You can get it on the as Pastor Ladina had said. Get Me Radio app or My Tuner. High Octane is on Tuesdays at 10 o'clock p.m., Thursdays at 9 o'clock a.m., and Saturday at 4 o'clock p.m. The Alabaster Box, Monday at 9 o'clock a.m., Wednesday at 10 o'clock p.m., and Friday at 4 o'clock p.m. And our show here, the Black Robe Patriots, can be heard on Tuesdays at 9 o'clock p.m., Thursdays at 10 o'clock a.m., and Saturdays at 3 o'clock p.m. As Pastor Ladina said, it's all Central Standard Time.
Yes. So it's our time here is over today, but we will be back next week. And starting on the 25th, is that the date we said? Yeah, next Monday, we're going to start putting in a little type prepper thing on our show. Depression era recipes and things that you can find out in nature that you can use to survive. Because if you haven't been to the grocery store lately, it's hard to buy groceries and the prices are getting really expensive. Our economy is in the trash can. And so, we're going to have to look back at those Depression era recipes and ways of foraging and everything so that you are able to look for what you need and feed your family in the times that are coming. So, we're going to touch on some prepper issues also starting next week.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for joining me, Miss Cindy. I'm going to fade us on out of here. And you have a wonderful day and don't work too hard trying to move this time, okay? Just be safe and quiet. Okay. Thank you all for joining us and we'll see you next week.
See you next.